I try to remember that we are the lucky ones, still healthy, still working, plenty of good food, and not worried about how to pay the bills. I start to feel bad when I think about all of those who are so worse off, and here I am feeling so sorry for myself because I have to take care of my family and do my job. Hey, it's Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, breadwinner, recovering hustler, and stage 4 cancer survivor. I'm not a fan of that term, by the way. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being, just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this podcast is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life both at home and in your work. It doesn't matter if you stay at home full time, if you work from home, you're a CEO, a successful business owner, or trying to find some inspiration. On this show, I attempt to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh. You may even cry, and you may even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your child's behavior, your health, or a relationship. And when we learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. It's time to put your big girl pants on and find your brave. Let's go. Ladies, I'm so excited to jump into today's podcast. So, Wednesdays are now words from the community. If you want to share your story, give feedback, have a question, share a moment, a time in your life, whether it's a current event or a past event, I want you to send it to me. Send it to podcast, podcast, at heatherchauvin.com. And we received a few kind of stories. And my intention for Words from the Community on Wednesday is not to coach. It's just to be heard and seen and understood. I think there's a time and a place when there's this sacredness in where we are. And we don't need to be, giving advice, unsolicited advice when people aren't asking for it. And there's so much grace and acceptance and healing in being heard with no judgment. And so today there's 2 stories I want to share with you. One is from Jessica and one is from Kate. And for the sake of privacy, I'm just going to read them and you won't know who they are or who it's from. And I think we will all be able to relate to Jessica and Kate in some aspect or another. And too often we're judging. We're judging ourselves and we're judging other people. But we're not giving ourselves grace for how far we've come. And we're also not giving ourselves grace for the feelings that we're feeling and for the kind of current circumstances. And there's a quote out there, and I really wish I knew who I could credit. And it goes something like this. We are all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. And what that means is just because we are all experiencing the same pandemic or isolation, we all have different lives. We have different traumas, we have different families, we have different perspectives, we have different coping strategies, and we live in different countries. But when we can just hear each other and come together from a space of collective energy and love with no judgment, we can begin to heal. So as you hear today's stories, if you're catching yourself saying, oh, well, if she just did that, or, oh, must be nice, catch your judgment and reflect it back on yourself and ask yourself, why are you trying to judge other people when you know nothing about them or their life experience. So story number 1. Good morning, Heather. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. Work has kind of eased up temporarily due to the workforce reductions and layoffs, and a general slowdown in construction projects and manufacturing. And we're doing fine financially. But I am so proud of myself for being kind to myself, listening to what I need and listening to what my husband needs during this time. I work from home every other day. It only took the pandemic for this to happen, LOL. It's a lot harder than I imagined it would be, though. In the beginning, I put unrealistic expectations on myself for what I would accomplish from home. Now I make a goal of what I want to accomplish, and I'm not that attached to it. If it happens, it happens. If not, it's okay. I'm much more forgiving and flexible with myself than I used to be. And I'm so very thankful for the tools and strategies I've learned from you and others in the last year or so. I know they've prepared me for this, and I'm so grateful I've got this. You, my friend, are amazing, and I am sure this has been a shake-up for you, your team, your audience, your family. Please keep being the badass that you are. You are an inspiration to so many. Love you, lady. Thank you, thank you. And our next story. Hey, Heather, honestly, I have not listened to you in a while. Normally, I would listen while driving to and from work. Now I can't do that. I'm working from home, still trying to run my business of 35 plus employees. My husband is out in the field. Usually I'm in the office. I'm also trying to keep my first grader motivated to do her online schooling, but it's getting more and more difficult. Then there are the 2 and the 4-year-old. The baby is so chill and goes with the flow. The 4-year-old is struggling. She's always been the one that is more challenging behaviorally, and we have learned that she really needs routine and structure. All she wants to do now is watch TV, and she loses her mind when she doesn't get what she wants. She terrorizes the other girls. I just don't know what to do to help her and to keep the peace. I feel bad for all the girls. I feel like I don't have enough to go around right now, and I'm losing it. I try to keep calm, but it just doesn't always happen. Then I am also trying to do my job, which requires a lot of time. This is not sustainable, and I'm starting to get worried. How long can we keep this up? My mom is right down the road, all alone, and willing to help, but I'm afraid to expose her. What would I do if she got sick, or worse? I try to remember that we are the lucky ones, still healthy, still working, plenty of food, not worried about how to pay the bills. I start to feel bad when I think about all those who are so worse off, and here I am feeling sorry for myself because I have to take care of my family and do my job. I have literally been giving the kids their Easter candy and sending them down to the garage with the iPad for an hour so I can get some quiet. Thank God my husband bought me a Peloton for Christmas. That has probably been giving my saving grace. In the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't have time for this. Now I am making the time. I mean, it's 30 freaking minutes. Stop with the excuses. This matters. For that mentality, I thank you, Heather. You have coached me to understand that if I don't take time for myself right now, then we will all be in trouble. I have also been asking for help from my husband and telling him when I have to have a break. He's been really good about it. I hope that you are well. I know you're helping so many moms right now get through this. Thank you for listening to me and for being in the back of my mind, helping me along on this crazy journey. Thank you. Just remember, you are not alone. And there's no shame in being where you're at right now, either in a thrival state, feeling really good, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, feeling the contrast of what you don't want. So my wish is for you that whatever lessons are being brought to your attention right now, you feel them. You really feel into them. And I would love to share your own personal words of wisdom, your words from the community. So if you feel called to reach out, please, please, please do. I love you dearly, and I so want to hear from you. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself, and I don't want to feel that way. So send your messages, send your stories to podcast@heatherchauvin.com.